안녕하세요, 바다입니다. 오늘은 클래시오브클랜이 앞으로 어떻게 변화하고 어떤 생각들을 가지고 있는지에 대한 내용을 담은 영상입니다. 크로클 커뮤니티 매니저 페리가 게임 디자이너 베사와 함께 Q&A를 가지는데 영웅장비부터 광석까지 다양한 얘기가 나오는데 크로클 하시는 분들이 보면 꽤 흥미로운 영상이 되지 않을까 싶습니다. 먼저 전체적인 게임 흐름에 대한 내용입니다.
And what has happened is we've added more content into the game, which is mainly for these endgame players. A lot of other people feel like they're left behind. They feel like there isn't much, like the game is just going faster and faster and faster. And while we've cut costs and times across that road, maybe these sweeping cuts. So what really I believe is needed is more of like a structural change in how that progression works. Instead of having this exponential growth where eventually you get stuck in these week-long timers, we have more of like a steady optimal pace where you're just having fun. You have different timers, some short, some longer. You're having a good time. And the game flows much more nicely in that way. So that is like a big thing that we think has a long-term impact.
So just to get this straight, because on the last update to Hall 16, we did decrease upgrade timer for a lot of different buildings and everything. So the idea is to expand on that, but in a different way.
Well, we've already done earlier this year. We did cuts on the earlier town halls up to Town Hall 9, and we saw some very positive changes there. And we want to expand this same direction to all town halls. So eventually, like, it's a steady process where we're trying to find the optimal balance, but eventually it should feel better for all. So that both like free-to-play players and paying players are just gonna have an overall better experience going through that. And the goal is not for like the game to take more and more years as we add more content. Like everybody should be able to get to the new part and feel like they're part of a living game.
다음은 많은 분들이 궁금해할 업그레이드 시간 중 영웅 사용입니다.
So there's a lot of things about heroes, but the one thing I want to talk to you about is sleeping heroes, let's call it. And I think that we mentioned this before in a Q&A we did on Reddit a while ago. We talked about why it works the way it works. I think that players want to know more.
Like some apt Redditors put it, you need to do wars in order to get stuff, but you can't do wars because you don't have heroes, thus you don't get stuff, so thus you don't, and that goes more. This is a huge issue. I see it as an absolutely like a brutal crunching problem, and it is one of the first things that and I saw as I joined the team like this cannot continue. If the game was designed today, I find it very difficult that anybody would suggest such a design in this modern world. However, I'll open up a little bit of the brutalities of being a game designer. So why this is the hardest problem that a game designer can ever face is because there is a price tag to it.
Yeah.
And that price tag is very concrete and it is counted in the millions where I can't guarantee with my own pocket change whether that's going to work. Just outright removing it comes with this financial risk. So I'll have to have a design which is at least as good and hopefully better. This brings us to the big changes in December and equipment. Our hope was that if we diversify our monetization, we bring in these new ways that people can interact with this system, maybe we can pull off the pressure from that hero book monetization that has been quite successful so far. And then it allows us the avenues to fix that fundamental gameplay problem that is making people have a bad time. So that's where the motivation for that is coming. And we're looking into like a multitude of ways to fix that. More heroes is definitely something that is like high priority on that list of possible fixes to that issue. But it also depends on how the hero equipment change is going, what kind of balance we find, what kind of success we find, all of that stuff.
다음은 영웅장비 업그레이드에 필요한 광석에 대한 내용입니다.
To upgrade hero equipment, you need a very specific resource. This is something that is a big problem right now in the game. How much resource you can get, how many ores you can get in the game does not match right now the number of equipments you need to upgrade. So I think the main question here is, what are we doing about it?
Push you into having a bunch of equipment at some level, and then you can find out which ones you like the most. And so the ore economy in and of itself is still in its infancy. In the drafting board, when I was putting it out, there was ore sources for builder base, for clan capital. However, the roadmap and the plans have changed somewhat during the change of the year. Well, that doesn't help you, the players. So we are going to fix it. So we're going to give a bunch of new orders. We're going to also think about the cadence at which we put out those equipment. Make sure that we don't do it too often. Like, if you don't want to pay in the game, you should be still having a good time. We want to find that balance on where everybody's having a good time. But we're definitely going to assess the ore sources, assess the balance, but it takes time to get the data in, see how people are actually interacting with it, where the pain points are.
다음은 영웅장비 출시에 대한 내용입니다.
I would expect us to relatively quickly get to the point where all the heroes have, well, they now have all the commons that we were aiming for them to have. So there's going to be 4 commons per hero, and we're not planning on putting any more in. We want them all to have a couple of epics, and then we'll assess again, see how it works. And obviously, like, people have also been worried, what if there's like 100 equipment for all those? It's going to be a mess, and that's not the goal either.
다음은 게임 밸런스에 관한 내용입니다.
Players are meeting these tools in the game, troops, heroes, equipment, siege machines, spells, all of it from a different perspective, let's say. Find a thing for the first time. What is cool about it is that, you know, it's more powerful than the thing you got before. Problem is that these pieces need to be interesting for the person when they unlock it, and they need to seem juicy in comparison to the other. But then the end result needs to be balanced for the competitive. Town Hall 16 is now significantly easier than 15 was, and that was by design because we wanted to see, like, if that has a positive effect. And it does have a positive effect. So we want to make it good for everybody.
We go back to the same balance in the game for 2 different groups.
Exactly.
And it is something that's being discussed
Exactly.
internally
Yeah.
and how to solve it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't say when it's ready, but it's gonna.
다음은 전체 채팅에 관한 내용입니다.
Global chat had issues, and the issues come down to trust and safety, and maybe those are you know, controversial issues and how they should be handled. But the problem that you can't really recruit people into your clans, it's one of those things that I think is just brutally broken within the game, and it's inexcusable. It is the literal thing that my team is working on at this very moment. So as a sneak peek, we're working on a new clan discovery feature. I hope it's gonna work well. The idea is that you can advertise your clan, you can find new members for your clan, like the core thing that clans is supposed to be all about.
Is this something that we can expect here?
Absolutely.
그리고 슈퍼 유닛에 관한 얘기도 나옵니다.
Everyone keeps asking, I don't know why. Can we have a super E-Drag?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in right now.
That was easy. I think a little bit more convincing, but I guess not. Okay.
I love dragon. Can I make an E-dragon that makes baby E-dragons?
Yeah, it's spawned baby dragon. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, like a big E-dragon that makes little dragon eggs
I love
that
the
pop
idea.
like smaller E-dragons.
The more additions, the better to the E-Dragons. Yeah, players love them.
I would love to add more dragons to the game. Can we
Yeah.
make a Clash of Dragons?
We should make Clash of Dragons.
자, 이렇게 클래시오브클랜이 나아갈 방향이라던가 앞으로 어떻게 진행을 할 건지 토킹 어바웃을 들어봤는데 호불호가 없게끔 웬만하면 이제 모든 분들에게 만족을 시킬 수 있는 그런 업데이트를 하겠다는 그런 내용인데, 역시 모든 사람을 만족시키기에는 어려운 것 같습니다. 너무 안 좋게만 보지 마시고 내가 즐기고 있는 게임이기 때문에 게임을 즐기려고 하는데 중점을 더 두면은 좋지 않을까 싶습니다. 스트레스 받으려고 게임하는 건 아니니까요. 자, 언제나 그렇듯 영상 좋아요와 구독, 크리에이트 코드 FADA 받아 한 번씩 입력해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.